Good day. Welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Okoro. These aren't the best of times for Nigeria. The country's economy has again contracted for the fifth consecutive quarter. The National Bureau of Statistics says the nation's gross domestic product in the first quarter of 2017 contracted by 0.52% year-on-year. This comes despite a steady decline in the country's inflation rate. And sadly, it means the country is still in recession. However, despite the negative figures, there are still some positives for the nation's economy. During the quarter aggregate GDP, its GDP stood at 26 million naira in nominal terms compared to 22 million naira in the first quarter of 2016. The Nigerian Customs Service says it has intercepted a container load of arms at the Tinkan Island port of Lagos. This makes it the second time the customs is intercepting large cache of weapons in Lagos. Earlier this year, the Commission discovered over 650 pump-action rifles concealed in iron doors and other goods shipped into the country from China. Till date, no one has publicly claimed responsibility for the shipment. Police say 55 members of a pro-Biafran group have been arrested during protests in the oil-rich southeast region. Members of secessionist group Movement for the Actualization for the Sovereign State of Biafra (MASOB) had marched in celebration of what it called the independence of Biafra. The march took place in several cities across Nigeria. In Enugu, southeast Nigeria, where 41 members of the Biafra group were arrested, the police admitted the protesters were not violent, but they conducted themselves in a manner that could breach the peace of the region. The group led by Raf Wazirike says it has been pursuing non-violent means of achieving its aim in the last 17 years. Meanwhile, in Lagos, before the protest took place, MASOB held a press conference calling on Nigerians to support the Biafran movement.
You know, MASOB started since 1999, September 13. It was floated by Chief Dr. Raf Wazirike to actualize independent state of Biafra, the former eastern Nigeria. So that struggle has been all since that time till now. And finally today is the celebration of our independence, which we have been angling for. And we are celebrating today. Today is May 22. We gave information to the world, or to many people, or people across the globe, that May 22, 2017, MASOB, BIM, and the entire Biafran as a whole will celebrate Biafra independence. And we will ask our people to go to churches and give thanksgivings. Don't understand me? By May 30th, there have been inter-football matches between the component states that are made up of Biafra and those living in diaspora. They will play against each other, you know, to mark the celebration. The celebration of the independence will continue from today till 30th of May, and it will terminate with the inter-football matches.
I want to say to them that they should wake up from their slumber and join the progressive program that we have already brought to their doorstep. That program is Biafran sovereignty, Biafran nation. That is where we are now. We are now Biafra. We are free. We mark our independence today in accordance to the rule, the international rule that gives us Biafra. Some people always ask questions. Are you sure you have gotten it? How do you get it right? It is an international law of a thing. So that's why we know that we have gotten it, because we are an insider. We have done the program and we have given ourselves pass mark, and we know that the world will join us to say you have passed it.
Two fallen peacekeepers from Nigeria, Christopher Ademu Abu, a Commodore, and Mayem Nerbert, a police sergeant, will be honored by the United Nations. The UN, in a statement, said the two Nigerians are among 117 soldiers to be honored with the posthumous Dag Hammarskjöld Award. The medal is named after Dag Hammarskjöld, who is the second Secretary General of the UN, who died in a plane crash in what is now known as Libya in September 1961. A general court-martial of the Nigerian Air Force has arraigned one of its officers, aircraftsman Bernard Kalu, for the murder of his girlfriend, an aircraftswoman identified as Oladipupo Sholakbe. Carlo is also standing trial for housebreaking impersonation as a commissioned officer on Facebook with the intention to defraud the public and attempt to murder one Samuel One. He is also accused of failing to perform assigned military duties by using service property contrary to the Armed Forces Act. He has, however, pleaded not guilty to all 6 counts, and the trial was subsequently adjourned till June 2nd, 2017. Nigeria's anti-graft agency is marching against corruption. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission staged a peaceful walk in Abuja, the nation's capital, to condemn corrupt practices across the country. Acting chairman of the agency, Ibrahim Magu, said so much has been gained in the past 2 years in the fight against corruption. He promised that the agency will not back down on its anti-corruption war.
I stand before you today and make a solemn pledge never to give up in the fight against corruption. Those who dread to be punished for their corrupted should take notice that EFCC is watching. The Commission will trace and recover all ill-gotten wealth and bring the perpetrators to book. It is time to weep for those who believe they can perpetually hold down Nigeria as a cow and milk her to death. It is time to weep for supposed men and women of honor who pose as anti-corruption fighters. But when they think we are not looking, they plot and form the collapse of the anti-corruption war. Why we don't have good roads? The answer is simple. Why we don't have hospitals and our political elites prefer to go outside the shores of this country? It's very simple. It's because the money has been stolen. And these days we have seen even burial grounds are being used to stock money. It's no longer in millions, it's now in billions. This is the predicament, comrades. This is the predicament, Nigerians. Our politicians are crying. We, the people that are being exploited, we are also crying. So we don't know also who is even corrupt. But the fact is that even the corrupt elites are also saying that Nigeria is corrupt. We that are on the ground, we are also saying that the system is corrupt. So the fact still remains the same, that there is a systemic corruption in Nigeria across all levels. And therefore we Nigerian citizens must be ready at all costs to make sacrifice and make Nigeria a better place.
It may be one of those statements Nigerians have heard over and over again. But this time, Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachiko, is taking his job on the line. The minister has vowed to resign if Nigeria continues to import fuel by 2019. Speaking on BBC's Hard Talk, Kachiko says he absolutely is certain his plans to get Nigeria to stop importation of petrol in 2019 would work out just fine. He also promised to deliver on the completion of Nigeria's refineries. Operatives of the Nigerian police force in Abuja have tear-gassed scores of Shiite protesters demanding the release of the leader of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, Ibrahim el-Zakzaky. The protesters, who converged at the office of the National Human Rights Commission, had marched through streets displaying placards calling for the release of Sheikh Zakzaky. In defense of its actions, presidential spokesman Garba Shehu says the Nigerian government is keeping el-Zakzaky for his own safety. Samuel Ortom, the governor of Benue State, has signed the anti-open grazing bill into law. The bill bans herdsmen from moving freely from one farming community to another. The governor says the law would put an end to the recurring clashes between herdsmen and farmers in Benue State. He also warned that violators would serve a jail term of 5 years or a fine option of 1 million naira or both. The Supreme Court of Nigeria has struck out a suit filed by Ali Modushev against an appeal by the Ahmed Makafi faction of the People's Democratic Party. Both men are tussling for the leadership of the opposition party. The Makafi-led faction had filed an appeal challenging the judgment, which affirmed Sheriff as the authentic leader of the People's Democratic Party.
That the court decided to take all the applications together with the substantive matter. So precisely that was what happened. They took it and adjourned the matter to a date to be communicated to council later, or to parties. We are not saying that PDP has no right to file an appeal. What we are saying is that PDP did not authorize the filing of this appeal, and that on becoming aware that an appeal was lodged on its behalf, it proceeded to file a notice of withdrawal. It is the competence or otherwise of that notice of withdrawal that is the subject of contention in this case.
The Supreme Court of Nigeria has had the appeal and judgment has been reserved. And that's all. And let us also commend the court, because in appreciation of the importance of the matter, the court within these 3 months that judgment of the Court of Appeal was given. Briefs have been filed and exchanged by parties, and the Supreme Court, presided over by the Honorable Chief Justice of Nigeria, sat today. It's taking all the arguments, all objections, taken together with the substantive appeal, and judgment of the Supreme Court has been reserved. I think that's all.
Adamu Kamale, a member of the People's Democratic Party, has defected to the All Progressives Congress. Kamale, who hails from Adamawa State, defected to the APC on Tuesday morning. He was the only PDP member of the House from that state. PDP has lost so many of its members to the ruling APC. Just last week, a member of the PDP from Plateau State, identified as Edward Pwajok, defected to the ruling All Progressives Congress. Meanwhile, on Saturday this weekend, Edem Duke, who is a former Minister of Tourism and Culture, also defected to the ruling party. Many residents of Lagos, Nigeria's commercial city, had looked forward to the 2017 edition of the Lagos Ayo Festival, and when it finally arrived, they were surely not disappointed. Thousands of residents defied the heavy downpour to celebrate that day. The Ayo Festival is also part of activities to mark the ongoing Lagos at 50 anniversary. It was indeed a day of fun, as the event was graced with a lot of music, dancing, and also fun.
It's a show of color and a display of cultural heritage, as Lagosians in their thousands troop out to welcome their own Adamu Orisha, popularly called Ayo Festival. The 2017 edition of the Ayo Festival starts on a colorful note. Starting from the early hours of the day, Ayo masqueraders in their immaculate white regalia and accompanying palm frond and caps to match, then strand Lagos Island, showcasing the rich indigenous history of the people and the city. The eventual converging point is the Tafawa Balewa Square for the final parade and celebration. This year's edition is special because the festival is part of the activities to celebrate Lagos at 50, marking 50 years since the state was created from the old western region on May 27, 1967 by the then military head of state, General Yakubu Gowon. Youth from various indigenous families in the city are dressed as Ayo. Masqueraders in their different colors are present to represent their families. Even little children dressed as Ayo are not left out. But as the cultural parade gets into full swing, the cloud breaks loose and heavy rainfall begins. Nonetheless, the show goes on, and even with more energy. For them, the rainfall is a sign that the gods of the land are pleased with the celebrations. To many, Ayo is all about fun and nothing else but pure fun. And this fun is what has attracted thousands of people, including tourists from different parts of the world.
This is my first time of seeing it, actually, so I'm impressed by the event. And I'm impressed by the courage of the people doing the procession, because the rain has been heavy and they are very courageous to make it anyway.
In actual fact, this is my first time of ever witnessing the Ayo, and I think it's a great cultural display. And to my surprise, it has been very, very peaceful and orderly. We thought it could be rowdy, but everything is under control. The police are doing a good job around here, and the too, they are really thrilling and entertaining. I've enjoyed them so much.
The Eyo Festival has been in existence for decades. It was invented by the founding fathers of Lagos as part of efforts to ward off undesirable elements from the city, as well as afford Lagosians the opportunity to relax among themselves. And this year's edition surely lived up the expectations of Lagosians. Flourish Alunge, TV360, Lagos.
Yeah, relax. That is my brother, and I want him out of this station now. Okay. Can I just see the IPO of this case? IPO, how are you?
No, welcome, sir.
That is my brother, and I want him out of this station now.
Do you know the offense he has committed, sir?
What do you guys want for the weekend? Okay, let me see your DPO.
This way, sir.
Oh, better. You don't know who is here. That boy is my brother, and I want you to assist me to free him.
The man found the gun, confessed to robbery.
Things like this happen. 200,000 naira for you.
Are you bribing me?
500,000 naira.
Robbery suspect?
1 million naira.
That is corruption. Not allowed in this division.
1 million.
Remember,
police is your friend. Giving and taking bribe is wrong.
corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. The Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee has decided to retain the country's benchmark interest rate at 14%. CBN also decided to leave the existing cash reserve ratios for commercial banks at 22.5% and the liquidity ratio at 30%. This is the fifth time in a row the CBN has decided to leave all rates at the same level. Its decision comes on the same day the country's Bureau of Statistics disclosed that the country is still in recession. The CBN also plans to sell an undisclosed amount of dollars to settle a backlog of foreign exchange demand for airlines, fuel and raw material imports. Traders say the central bank had asked commercial lenders to submit bids for dollars to cover the previously unmet demand for hard currency to improve dollar liquidity and ease pressure on the naira. The naira was quoted at 381 per dollar at the investor window on Tuesday. It has firmed on the back market at its record low of 520 to the dollar in February this year. Oil prices rose on Tuesday as expectations of an extension to OPEC-led supply cuts continued to rise. Brent crude traded up 7 cents at $53.94 per barrel, while U.S. crude was up 10 cents at $51.23 per barrel. OPEC, led by Saudi Arabia and other producers including Russia, will meet on May 25th to decide on output cuts. They are expected to extend a pledge to cut output by 1.8 million barrels per day, possibly until March 2018. ISIS has claimed responsibility for an attack which killed 22 people at an Ariana Grande concert in UK's Manchester Arena. Among those killed include an 8-year-old schoolgirl. Salman Abedi, who is 22, has been identified by police as the suspected suicide bomber. 59 others were also injured in the attack, which happened late on Monday. UK's Prime Minister Theresa May says the bombing had been, quote, a callous terrorist attack that targeted defenseless young people. The House of Representatives Committee on Public Petitions has threatened to order the arrest of Sports Minister Solomon Dalong for failing to appear before it. He has been identified and invited 7 times. The invitation was in connection to a 30 billion naira bribery allegation leveled against Dalong by a contractor in his ministry. Others are invited alongside the minister were the permanent secretary and the director of procurement in the sports ministry. The committee has now adjourned till May 30th for further action. European football governing body UEFA has insisted that the Europa League final between Manchester United and Ajax will go ahead as scheduled. The governing body in a statement says the terror attack in Manchester's arena, which left at least 22 people dead, will not affect the showpiece event. The final is scheduled for Wednesday in Stockholm. UEFA condemned the Manchester attack but says it has been working with Swedish authorities to ensure the safety of fans during the games. Former Grand Slam champion Petra Kvitova is set to return to competitive action in the 2017 Wimbledon tournament. The Czech had suffered non-threatening injuries to her wrist after her home was burgled last December. She had intended to return at the French Open Games but couldn't recover in time for the second Grand Slam tournament. Well, that's all we have on News Now. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Thelma Okoro.